vaccine. Both traditional anti-vaxxers and those influenced by what they see and read online that have the scientific community particularly worried.
We're getting threats, fear, blackmail. They're doing everything they can to force us to say, okay, just give me the injection.
It's extremely dangerous. We often forget that up until 100 years ago, incredibly large numbers of children were dying from infectious diseases, and one by one, from polio and measles and so on, we have managed to largely eliminate those diseases from widespread transmission, and that's had a huge impact. The only way that we are going to control the spread of this disease is by having an effective vaccine and having sufficient uptake of the vaccine to prevent it being spread from person to person.
The resistance is itself meeting resistance in the form of online groups trying to stop the spread of what they say is false information.
Clearly what we see here, this is a website, Waking Times. It's one of the key kind of disseminators of false information about corona. And here are adverts. They've monetized the whole thing, have they?
Yeah. So what we do, we contact these brands that are allowing the sites to keep running from Google Ad Money, and we ask them to blacklist the site and remove these ads to stop funding these sites.
Adam, which isn't his real name, didn't want to be identified because of abuse he's received online.
How many people do you reckon are going to see a headline like that and be influenced by what's in here?
Thousands, most likely. Yeah, a lot of people will be looking for answers where they can't find any, and if a site like this is trying to suggest that the government is using the virus as a means to control, or the fear surrounding the virus as a means to control, a lot of people may latch on to that.
For volunteers like Adam and dozens of others, it's a race against time and the virus, while the numbers of those persuaded for all sorts of reasons to refuse a vaccine, possibly undermining efforts to end the pandemic, continue to grow.
drone is delivering COVID-19 supplies to a nearby hospital.
Seeing the first flight was exhilarating.
The drones will carry about 4 pounds of personal protective equipment and fly up to 30 miles round trip.
Airspace is clear.
Previously, the FAA only allowed drone deliveries within 2 miles.
To be standing in one of our major hospitals and see a drone drop exactly where it was planned to drop, PPE, and watching our public safety officer pick it up and carry it in, that was very satisfying.
Novant Health is a network of 700 locations, including 15 hospitals. During the pandemic, the group is rethinking how to distribute medical supplies.
On the streets of New York.
That's absolutely insane that's being marketed and sold to a public.
I'm a little uncomfortable with it. And let's say if someone could hack it, I mean, you don't want this drone to go into your bathroom while you're taking a shower.
Obviously, companies like Amazon and Ring are collecting data. They do it constantly. And, you know, at first they say, we're not collecting data, or we're only using data for this. And then it comes out 2 years later that they've been listening to every word that you've said. So I'm concerned about it, but you're paying with your data for convenience, and that's the rub. That's what happens nowadays.
Quite a history of controversial products. There is unease that its new wrist-worn device, promoted as a health gadget, can scan your body and analyse your voice, and the company's Alexa Guard virtual assistant that potentially turns your speakers into listening devices. Amazon insists, though, that no one can view your data without permission, and the company will not sell that information.
Our next item sort of starts like one of those old jokes. A Jewish rabbi, Protestant reverend, and Muslim scholar team up. But in this case, it's to write a book titled How Millennials Can Lead Us Out of the Mess We're In.
Fires out west. In California, nearly 4 million acres have burned so far this year. The governor declaring a state of emergency for the northern part of the state, where tens of thousands have been forced to flee their homes. It's the latest.
Overnight, homes and structures incinerated. Nearly 80,000 people told to evacuate. Out-of-control wildfires raging throughout Northern California. The air resembling an erupting volcano. The Zog fire turning deadly.
It's with a sad heart that I come before you today to say we've had 3 deaths.
In Sonoma and Napa County, over 36,000 acres burned so far. With drought conditions, home after home left kindling.
The smoke is so thick that as you watch, it's almost as if the fire truck sort of disappears as it goes around the corner.
St. Helena's Hospital forced to evacuate all of its patients for the second time in a month.
The hardest part is, number one, trying to keep them from being too fearful.
Jan Zakin rescued after a burning car blocked her escape route.
Exploding again overnight, the firestorms in Northern California are devouring more homes and now claiming lives.
Warning, fire evacuation in progress.
With entire neighborhoods forced to quickly flee the flames, this was the harrowing escape from the mouth of one inferno.
This is, oh my God, I looked here, oh my God.
Today, nearly 70,000 people in Sonoma County are under an evacuation warning. Investigators worry the number of fatalities could multiply.
Waking up at 3 in the morning, it was just, a big red ball of fire right next to us.
When flames tore through this area, little could be done to stop it. Multi-million-dollar homes and smaller properties are a total loss.
In the world-famous Napa Valley, more than 60 wineries are in the burn zone. An unknown number have already been damaged or destroyed.
Military clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan have resulted in civilian casualties, according to reports. Video from the conflict has been released by both nations, showing strikes against each other. The two nations have been at odds over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which is recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but is populated by many ethnic Armenians. The Armenian Defense Ministry claims its attacks were in response to an attack on civilians by Azeri forces. Both sides have claimed losses of military service members. Neighboring nations are now concerned the conflict will spill over into other countries in the region. Russia, which has military bases in Armenia, but is friendly with both countries, is calling for an immediate ceasefire. The current conflict is being called the worst in the region since a clash in 2016. 16 people were also killed in July during another clash. Despite attempts at peace agreements over the years, no permanent solution has been achieved. The BBC reports this conflict remains one of the post-Soviet era frozen conflicts.
Nearly 30,000 people are being told to boil their tap water following the recent death of a 6-year-old boy. Officials say the boy died from a brain-eating parasite that was found in his town's water supply. CBS's Maria Villarreal spoke with his family.
Hundreds of residents in Lake Jackson, Texas lined up for bottled water after a brain-eating amoeba was found in the local water supply. 3 weeks ago, Maria Castillo lost her 6-year-old son Josiah to the deadly organism.
It's such a fast-acting disease that, his little body just couldn't handle.
Castillo believes her son was infected while playing at a local splash pad, which is now closed, or from a water hose at their home. Castillo says her son was diagnosed with Naegleria fowleri, a rare brain-eating amoeba. According to the CDC, the organism is found in warm freshwater lakes and rivers. People can get infected when the amoeba enters the nose, but they cannot get infected if they swallow it. Now, state officials say they are working with the city to flush and disinfect the entire system, but Castillo says it comes too late for her.
Pandemic and fears of a second wave in the U.S. and around the world. Here at home, more than 204,000 American lives lost. 33 states reporting cases on the rise. Florida today topping 700,000 cases. Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, disturbing scenes of packed bars and restaurants in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Few masks and no social distancing. This after the governor lifted all restrictions on restaurant capacity.
I'm healthy, I'm strong,
and I feel comfortable here with all my friends.
The state crossing a grim milestone, 700,000 cases, more than 14,000 deaths. The mayor of Miami worried about the governor's decision.
We'll see in the next couple of weeks whether he's right about his perspective. But if he's wrong about his perspective, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for him, and it's going to be in a very difficult time because it's in the middle of flu season.
Terry Kinder is a 7th grade teacher in Florida, feeling the pressure COVID brings.
And our kids deserve better. We deserve better. It's not working, guys. It's not working.
In New York City, more than 500,000 students heading back to in-person learning this week, starting Tuesday.
The date had been pushed back twice. A unanimous vote of no confidence for Mayor Bill de Blasio and the city's chancellor.
All summer long, we've been running into roadblock after roadblock with changing guidance, confusing guidance, sometimes no guidance.
New York seeing a surge, topping more than 1,000 COVID cases for the first time since June.
This may be the most precarious moment that we're facing since we have emerged from lockdown.
33 states and Puerto Rico seeing increases in infections. Wisconsin setting a new record for positive coronavirus cases in a day with nearly 3,000 cases.
It's really up to the adults to be an example to the children to wear a mask, and I'm just not seeing it.
Experts fear a new surge in the winter. One projection has the daily death rate going from 765 to an alarming 3,000 by late December.
We don't carefully follow the guidelines, the other guidelines, the masking, the distance, the crowds, that we may see another surge again.
Grocers are preparing. One prominent chain stockpiling groceries and building pandemic pallets of cleaning and sanitizing products.
The Department of Health here in New York City is warning they will enforce masks and social distancing in areas of the city where there are clusters, saying they could even start handing out